I realized how much of how I view myself is the same way I would treat my clients. All the things that I list out as far as like, oh, this is my clientele, this is how I see them, are good things. Like feeling like you deserve the best, treating yourself with the best, those are good traits to have. That's how I have to see myself though, because it reflects in how I treat my clients.
That's why people are always getting surgery back to back to back to back.
Sure.
Because you get something fixed, you realize something else about yourself.
For
And
sure.
you realize something else. We're
It's
never
gonna
be
change.
perfect. Like, you know, like body dysmorphia is a thing. One
sure.
minute you think, oh yeah, I'm fit. Next minute you find something else about your body.
Yeah.
So it's like you're never
really a
gonna
mind
be perfect,
game.
bruh.
Yeah.
Confidence, self-image, body image, all of that stuff is really a mindset thing. It's an energy that you have to obtain. If you don't, people can view that. People don't want to be around that. They want to be around somebody who's confident in who they are. Yes, you have imperfections, but at the same time, you also know, like, I am who I am, and nobody can change that. What's good, y'all? Welcome to Growing Painz podcast, where we talk about business in the life of a young adult. You heard. It's your boy Travion.
And it's your girl, Big Yawn.
And it's your girl, Jay the Period.
Yeah.
Hey, what's good? So, I feel rejuvenated. Every time we do a little breaky break, I feel rejuvenated.
Me too. I feel really
for
good. I
sure.
took a little vacay, you know what I'm saying, to the Yums.
Yeah.
You
And
said a little vacay?
yeah, a little vacay, you know what I'm saying? A little vacay.
Little vacation slate.
Just like.
For sure. So, we have a question that we got to get into. We was talking about parenting and how it is being a parent, because somebody, they just had a baby.
Yo.
So,
Yes.
that's how the question came about. And we have Jada Wade right here. What's the question?
Yes. So I was talking to my dad a couple days ago, and we were on the phone, and he was telling me how one of his employees were asking for advice on their son. He was like, my son is, or the mom was like, my son's 27. He's lazy, and I just don't know what to do. Like, what's the advice on how to get your child to be like a productive citizen or whatever? And he was like, because right before this conversation, I had told my dad, I said, you and my mom would have been better off if y'all had a son. I was like, I feel like y'all did pretty cool with me, but I think y'all just would have been really good parents for a son. And then, so then he was like, that's what he told his employee. He was like, well, I raised my daughter like a son, and I'm so proud of it. He was like, my daughter really harder than a lot of these Negroes. He was like, parents be so soft nowadays. And he was like, you could take a lot more than the average dude or a guy, or maybe someone who was raised with like softer parents because of like everything that I put you through. And I was like, well, which is crazy.
Wait, say it like crazy though.
Like, I done put you through all this stuff.
I done put you through some hard, challenging times just so you could be strong. Be a strong black woman.
Exactly. And I was like, well, that was helpful, like, I guess, from like a success point of view, but I was like, it didn't really help me emotionally or like how I express myself, communicate, all of that. And so my question is, I guess, what's y'all's opinion on like how hard should a parent be on a child? And like if y'all's parents were or weren't hard on y'all, how did that affect you? Like, do you think it was better for you, or do you think it was not that good for you to have a parent that's hard on you?
Well, my mama was hard. My stepdad was hard. So,
What'd they do?
they were just very, my stepdad, when I was in boxing, he would be, you gotta be the best. You gotta be the best in the
Yeah.
room, you know? And it used to make me feel like I'm never doing enough.
Yeah.
Or my mom, she wasn't hard in the sense of like that, but she was hard in the sense of, no, you can't go here, you can't go there. Who gonna be where you going? Who's there? No, you can't go this way. And just, it was a lot of like, you know, raising me right, grooming me to be who I am today. So it was like, it was hard. And sometimes I feel as though, sometimes I wish I had more freedom to like do stuff, like go out and hang out with people that other parents were allowing. But then at the same time, it's like, who would I have became if they weren't that hard on me?
I used to sneak out.
I wasn't that good. I snuck some. Okay. Okay.
What,
No. Go ahead.
I'll say for me, I would say in certain areas, my dad would apply pressure. I wouldn't so much call it like being hard.
Yeah.
He would apply pressure in some areas, like my career. He would be like, every time you come home, you need to be at the table writing a journal. And if I didn't, I forgot, but he used to have like some type of consequence if I didn't write in the journal. I forgot what it was. So in some areas, he was like, you have to do this, trying to protect me, right? And make sure that my future looked good. But for the most part, like, y'all already know I've talked about it before, but I wasn't raised by my mom. I was raised by my dad and grandma. For the most part, both of them was pretty chill. Like, I wouldn't say they were hard on me. Like,
you wish they were harder on you?
No, I feel like the way they raised me, it's like almost I had, some people are like, I wish I had the freedom so I could experience this and this. Me, I had the freedom, but it's like, I don't want to because I have it,
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm like explaining it well.
No, that
but
makes sense.
Yeah, it's like some things where it's like I literally could have did, but it's like, why? I don't really have to. You know what I'm saying? And also, it's some things where it's like I don't want to ruin their trust either because of how much freedom they're giving me. Like in middle school, my dad would let me go to not saying my dad would let me be outside for real, but I know some people in middle school, they have to be back at like 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Me and my dad would let me go to a party and said I have to be back by midnight. And that's like what do you call it? A curfew people in high school get. Yeah. So I would say for the most part, my dad's like my best friend. So it's some things I would talk to him about and certain conversations we had, certain freedom he would give me that just gave me like friend vibes. But at the same time, still giving me wisdom, like giving me the freedom, but telling me if you make this decision, this is going to be the outcome. I'm giving you the freedom, but if you do this, it's not going to be good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, although I had this freedom, I also have the wisdom to manage the freedom well.
Yeah. Real quick. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Tap in,
twin. Take a 5-second break and go subscribe.
Exactly. We got so much on our channel, y'all. We got vlogs, we got challenges, we got silent library, we got everything. So what are you doing? Like, go subscribe right now.
What are you doing?
Go
subscribe.
Stand on business. Go stand on business.
Stand on business, yeah.
Let's get back into the episode.
I feel that.
What is hard though? Like,
so
is
I was
it
to say
that
for
or
me, hard was like hard. Like
struggle and like fend for yourself. And
no, because it wasn't struggle. Like my dad had money, so it wasn't like, oh, I'm living with my dad, so he's making it hard on me. Like, oh, we don't have food or water or nothing. But it was a lot of, I'm not helping you. Like he feels like life is hard, so why do I need to be soft with you? Like, why do I need to be nice? Or like, why do I need to help you out? Like, life is not going to help you out. So that was my dad's perspective. He felt like if you need help with something, you go figure it out on your own. Even though I have the resources to help you, I'm not going to help you because when you're an adult, like, you got to figure it out on your own anyways. Yeah. And so I'll say, because I'm in a place of gratitude now, I find gratitude in him being like that. Like my mom, she would want to help me, but didn't always have the money to help me. So I spent a lot of times in life where I really just had to figure stuff out on my own. Yeah. So that made things hard. And then also when you add in like when my dad would ridicule me or like how he would speak to me, it's also making it hard mentally. Like, dang, now you're changing how I like think about myself. And so I find gratitude in it though, because like it made me go after things I want, but it just, like I said earlier, it caused the struggle with like emotions. My dad always told me like, don't cry. Like you're Ellis, you're not supposed to cry. So like growing up, I'm a crybaby now, but until that did not happen until like really last year. Before that, my friends looked at me as like the logical friend. I would not like be emotional because that's how I was raised. Like my dad would laugh at me if I cried about something. Like, so that's my version of like being hard on me. Like he raised me like a boy. Like how you would be with a son, like be tough. Like what are you being emotional
stand
for?
up right now.
Exactly. Yeah, like
Stand
that
on
type
business.
of stuff.
Stop playing. All that crying. Cut it out.
Exactly. Literally that. Exactly. So yeah, I think it's a balance to it. And so yeah, that's my point of view.
Yeah. And then now we have a present father in the building.
Yeah.
So Zell, what do you feel as though your experiences with being a dad, or how do you want to raise?
Yeah.
Are we able to say his name?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are we? How do you feel about raising Romel, and what do you want to teach him and stuff?
I kind of just want to teach him, of course, good and bad. And just doing the best you can. You don't have to be perfect. Just pretty much do the best you can. Try your best, and I don't know, make smart decisions. But
Yeah.
nothing too crazy. I mean, he's gonna do what he want to do when he becomes of age. I just hope that I teach him, good and bad, and he makes the right choices.
I got a question.
Sure.
Are you gonna spank him?
If I have to, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really big on that because I was spanked growing up, but
You don't think that helped you?
it did. It definitely did because it was like punishment, So
Right.
if I have to, then I will, but I'll try other stuff like taking, stuff away or,
Right.
But
Gentle parenting?
Yeah, just mental parenting.
Or probably like actually talking to like see what's going on. So I know from a kid's perspective, like when you're being disciplined all the time and nobody's asking you like what is wrong with you or like what are you going through, it's like, okay, you're beating me, but that's not gonna change. I'm still act up in school. So I feel like that would probably help too.
Now, do you believe that some people are influenced by others?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And one thing I was gonna say, it may be a little different for him because the way you grew up and the way he may grow up may be a whole different dynamic. Like there's gonna be more stability in like the home and stuff because you have like both of your parents. And not saying that he won't go through anything, but he'll probably have more of like stability.
He'll be exposed to more though. Just how the world is going. Kids now are exposed to way more than we were as kids.
Yeah.
And so I think because kids are gonna be exposed to more, you kind of have to like not be there more. What am I trying to say?
But like, just be careful about like what they're doing.
Exactly. You have to be mindful. What are their
monitor
influences?
everything,
Because that could steer them because they're exposed to so much more now.
Do you think you'll go like all in with something that you see in him as far as like a talent or something and start to nurture that talent like early on?
Yeah, if it's something that he enjoys doing, then I have no choice but to support that. You know?
You.
As long as he's learning about like financing his money and the like pros and cons, like good and bad. I'm not gonna be a super strict parent, but I'm gonna let him be himself and support.
For sure.
See, I feel like that kind of goes hand in what Trey was saying, how he's gonna have kind of more stability because you and Kai, like y'all are really smart. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You got your own business. Y'all are good money managers and stuff like that. So it's like a lot of stuff that y'all had to get it out the mud or learn on yourselves. Y'all could just teach him. So it's kind of like he'll be accelerated faster.
Sure. Even the main thing, his habits as far as like working out and stuff, like y'all both are very active like in the gym and stuff. So that's something that like he'll be able to nerd. Like he gonna be fit.
Like I want him to go outside, play, and I'm the type of dad that'll go outside, ride the bike with you, throw the football. So yeah, I just want to be present. I want him to be himself.
Yeah.
Sure.
But like put his best foot forward every single day.
How do you feel about like
These some good questions,
how do you feel like I see this with men and sons, but I guess as far as when it comes to expressing emotion, like how do you plan to help him with his emotional intelligence? Like how it's like my dad told me like, oh well, don't cry, like you need to be tough. Like are you gonna be that same way with him?
Yeah, I mean I will, but I'll also let him know like it's okay to cry. Like it's okay to make mistakes and be human. Just dust yourself off and keep moving forward. Like, but I'm not gonna be super like militant.
Tough, yeah.
Because that's how I grew up and I hated it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be cool, but when it's time to be firm and strict, then I'll be firm and strict.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. That's real.
Yep.
Yeah. Papa Zell. That's good. I'm not gonna lie. I need to think of that in my parenting. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have this kind of goes into, it all goes hand in hand because what you said about what your dad like certain things that your dad may have said to you, that can then play a part in how the way you perceive yourself, your self-worth, your body image, the way you interact with other people, what you allow, what you don't allow, different things like that. So the first question that I have is, how do y'all feel as though you perceive the world opposed to how the world perceives you?
Give me an example. Like,
so what do you think of your self-worth, your body image, your business, the way you interact with people?
Oh,
what do you
I
feel
get what
like
you're
you
saying.
can improve on in order to be a better person? So I'll start with myself.
Wait, so are you saying like how do we perceive ourselves versus how the world perceives us? Okay.
Yeah. So how do y'all perceive yourselves versus how the world sees you?
okay.
You could be like fully transparent.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said you want to go first, right?
No, I don't. Not anymore. No, that y'all understand it.
Bruh.
Ladies first.
Okay, let's do it this way. Everyone start with how they perceive themselves, and we'll come back around for how do you think the world perceives you.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, how I perceive myself now is better. I've talked about it before, but my confidence in how I view myself used to be in the dumpster for real.
Yeah.
I've also talked about it with y'all before, as far as like it wasn't really until like last year that I felt like it wasn't until last year that I felt like, oh, I'm actually really pretty, or even just feeling like, oh wow, I'm beautiful. I feel like I always had these internal issues of feeling like I don't look like, I feel like what's like a typical like
the
pretty
typical beauty standard.
Yeah, as far as like lighter, slimmer face, I got a big head, or like certain type of hair, certain type of ears.
Say no.
You get on my nerves. And yeah, and so that on top of I think how I was raised made me just kind of not view myself as not good enough. I'll say like as far as the body image, I never really just didn't like my size. More so I just used to have bad body image issues because I didn't like my skin. Like I just like when I was like 10, I had a breakout, and just for years, a lot of it's cleared now, but it's still there. I just had like scars, neck down, like everywhere, all over me. And I just used to be so embarrassed by that. Would not wear like a swimsuit for real. Like still now to this day, I've never really actually worn like a bikini or nothing out in public, just because I've so many years of like feeling self-conscious. It's just like, yeah, I just still never have.
It's just like a mental thing to like really like,
It's like ingrained.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I feel like that when it comes to body, that has been like my biggest thing, as far as like not liking my skin and different things like that. And yeah, that's pretty much how I've like viewed myself I feel like most of my life is like feeling like, oh well, not like feeling like, oh, you're super pretty, or and not really having a lot of confidence, and just feeling like, oh, you really don't deserve the best. And I mean that in every way. You don't deserve the best when it comes to like how you live. You don't deserve the best when it comes to like your relationships. You don't deserve the best in all types of ways. And you could see that in how I would carry myself. I would show up to places looking absolutely terrible. Like I just looked like I didn't love myself. Like things I allowed, it just gave, she does not care about herself.
For sure.
Okay.
That's real.
That is real.
Oh, that's really real. I know for me, the way I've viewed myself over the years, one thing that I always wish that I paid attention to growing up was being able to speak up for myself. I know, like, I used to wish that like my mom or somebody taught me to like be a person to like speak up in the like the most boldest way. And I've learned to like do that over time. And it's been a challenge because I know my tone with things and like the way my voice is sometimes sometimes things come off like a little rude as I try to speak up for myself. So it's like, dang, how do you speak up for yourself without coming off as mean? Because I remember in school, if we being real, in school, I was not I won't say
the shortest of the bunch.
I was short and I was mean, I could say.
Okay.
I was like a little like mean to people, but it was like a defense mode because it would be like people would try me and then it's like, all right, now when it's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when I do it. So it would be, I would always like deal with that thing of like when I speak up for myself or I say something in a way as somebody just did it to me. Now it's like, oh, you're being rude. Trayvion's this, Trayvion's that. So like now as I got older, I've started to become nicer, and that also doesn't play in my best interest because now it feels as though like people can play with me even more. So the way I view myself is very humble. And I always feel as though like, oh, like maybe you get the short end of the stick, like your height. So like, yeah, like I know for as far as the way I perceive myself is I'm humble. I don't feel as though I need like much to live or anything like that. And as far as like body image, self-image, a lot of things I wasn't really insecure about until I started getting older or until people started to point things out. Like I remember not paying attention to like having a gap. And then now I'm thinking I'm very self-conscious of like, oh, you got a piano in the middle of your teeth. Or like, you know, having then somebody there's somebody pointing out your underbite, and then now I'm looking at that, and now I realize I got a pointy chin. If I cut my beard off, now I realize I look like Crimson Chin. So it's like those little things and those little like, why are you laughing? I'm so serious.
I'm trying to be a supportive friend, and you just going in.
Oh, bro. So yeah, I'm so serious, but like realizing those little things, like, oh, and then even the main thing, like realizing that my dad, my biological dad, like I used to hate my shoulders, like how broad and like big my shoulders was, because like I don't know, it just makes everything look like sloppy if I start to gain a little weight. So that used to make me very like self-conscious in like seeing my cousins and stuff, and they're like these slim, like skinny guys, and this like you're like this
quarterback.
Yeah, this quarterback, big back, you know, cheeseburger back person. And you're like really just like very self-conscious. And I remember this one time, I know like when you're younger and you have a little bit of weight on you, people low-key tend to drag it. I'm not gonna lie. Like people tend to make it seem like you're like the biggest person until you look back at yourself and you're like, bro, I wasn't even like that big for real. Like I remember subconsciously, vividly, when I was younger, my cousin, he had I was laying on the bed and I had like my shirt up and I was rubbing my stomach, and he slapped my stomach, bro. It's like they were like laughing because they were like, your stomach is big. And I was like, bro, when I look back at myself, I wasn't even that big for real. So yeah, it makes you very self-conscious, and it makes you like think like, oh, I can't do this, I can't sit on this chair or it's gonna break. You know, like little stuff like that. And I just learned that I'm like, I am who I am. Like I have perfections. I got 99 problems, but perfection ain't one, for real. So, you know, like realizing that I'm perfectly imperfect, and, you know, everything is going to be everything. And at the end of the day got to end, you know? So it's just realizing all of that stuff. Like, okay. Oh, and being short, like being shorter than the kids in my school. That was like, dang, Brody, like your mom, your dad, y'all couldn't mix with somebody else. Like my mom didn't want a taller dude. Like, bro, that really like, I was looking like in my middle school pictures, bro, being the shortest person in my 6th grade class. You're in the hallway, everybody up here, you're literally down here, and I'm looking like I'm like, bro, my mom should have knocked the boots with somebody else.
Should have been with LeBron James.
I'm saying Kobe something, you know? I know it was a plenty of people at Freaknik.
Bruh.
So yeah, a lot of those things, the underbite, my nose, I started to realize over time, like, dang, my nose is big. Or then realizing like wanting certain things, like, dang, my lips isn't as big as the average black person, or you know, stuff like that. And it's like, it's always, you always want something that you don't have, and somebody always wants something that you have. And so I'm just learning, like, all right, be grateful for what you got, as long as you got everything.
Because honestly, you can always pick something out. Like, you know, that's why people are always getting surgery back to back to back to back.
Sure.
Because you get something fixed, you realize something else about yourself.
For sure.
And you realize something else, and you, like, we're never gonna
change.
perfect. And especially like our eyes, like, you know, like body dysmorphia is a thing. One minute you think, oh yeah, I'm fit. Next minute you find something else about your body. Yeah. So it's like you're never really gonna be perfect, bruh. Yeah. But I'll say for me, growing up, like I already talked about it before, but I used to deal with eczema really, really, really bad. Like I'm talking about arms, face, neck, hands, legs. I'm talking about everywhere. And so dealing with this growing up, it would come in waves. So like it would break out and it would just be everywhere for like a few months, and it would clear up and it would break out, clear up and stuff like that. And so dealing with this, I didn't want to be seen because I feel so insecure about the way I look. I don't want anybody looking at me. So I kind of trained myself to hold my tongue back so that nobody looks at me. Yeah. And so doing this, growing up, wanting to say something, but not wanting to say anything because I don't want to draw too much attention to myself or stuff like that. It kind of ingrained the habit in me to not speak like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? So as I got older, I'm realizing, hold on, I'm wanting to say stuff, but my tongue, I can't say it. Like I remember feeling like my tongue just feels so trapped, and I'm like, what is this? And then I had to pray that off of me, because it would be so many situations where I would feel a certain way, something would bother me, or I'm in a meeting or it's something going on and I want to say something so bad, but I don't want nobody to look at me. But now I'm like that. I don't feel like that no more, but I still have that habit. So thankfully now I've grown to learn how to use my words and to speak. So that's a great thing now. But that was one thing. Like my body, I used to be really insecure the way I looked. And it's crazy because when God does a work on you, you can't even look at me and tell I grew up with eczema. Like,
for real.
God is good. Like God is really good. So I just wanted to say that. Also, I used to feel really insignificant. Kind of like wherever I say don't matter. Like, I remember being in friendships growing up where like a trio, right? And feeling like I kind of don't fit in. So it's like the other two are going out to do stuff, but it's like I'm like kind of the oddball, or I'm kind of like they're talking about this, and whole time I don't know what they talking about. Like I experienced that I was saying two friendships, two like different trios growing up. And so like that can be traumatic. You know what I'm saying? That can be traumatic. So I feel like that kind of trained me to feel insignificant. Like what I say, so I'm already dealing with not being able to use my words. Now I feel like what I say don't even matter. So it kind of, I used to always have these like mind battles of like, dang, like I want to do this, but nobody care, or it don't even matter, or nobody care if I'm gonna be like, just feeling really insignificant, feeling really small. And it caused a deep insecurity in me, because it's like football games, all these things I want to do, but I'm in my mind so much where it's like I'm literally having a social anxiety panic attack and I'm leaving. Like I used to experience that so much, social anxiety. Like okay, imagine and it's all like it's like, I don't know how to
like a whirlwind of just experiences.
Literally, like it's like a down spiral. So it's like you're dealing with not being able to get to speak because you don't want nobody to look at you. Now you got to deal with feeling insignificant, and all of those. Now you're dealing with social anxiety. So it's like all these things, and not saying I had a terrible childhood, because these things would come in waves.
It's not like just consistently this one way. It's like it's waves of
it comes in waves, exactly. And so I would experience this a lot, like feeling fine, you know, getting my groove back, but now I'm like, get a breakout, okay, back in a downward spiral. So but okay, so but now I'll say me now, I'm thankful, because 99% of all this stuff I talked about is like I've healed from, or I'm currently in the process of healing. You know what I'm saying?
Hey y'all, what's up? I know you're enjoying the episode, but real quick, we wanted to take a second to talk to y'all.
Hey, pull out your phones right now and text the word GP Crew to the number down below. Let's get it.
Go do that right now. You're going to get updates about new drops, events, and so much more.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now let me get back behind the camera. Let's get it.
What you said about like friends and stuff, I used to feel like really inadequate, and I still struggle with that sometimes. Like, am me a part of friend groups? Am I like valuable in the friendship, or am I annoying or like stuff like that? And I used to realize, I used to think before, I used to really get social anxiety, like being in a room and, you know, when it's a huge group of friends, I will only be able to talk to people like one-on-one. And I still like struggle with that sometimes. Like, you feel like you can't be the loudest in the room because you just, I don't know, it's just a feeling of like, dang, like, am I really, or what you said, am what I'm saying worth speaking or saying? Or
people gonna care, people gonna like, listen to me.
Yeah, and then even like with the whole like doing YouTube, it was like, I don't know, I started to get social anxiety when people would come up to me and ask me to do this, and then I would feel awkward because I want to show up in one way, but I'm so shy that like I just ball up and like to a shell, and I don't show who I am.
And then I'm so upset because I'm like, I have this amazing personality, but I don't know how to show it.
Yeah. So it used to really like bother me, like with the YouTube, and people would come up to me and be like, oh, do this, do that, or like try to talk to me, and I'll be like, dang, they probably thinking like, this boy weird. Like off camera, they like, he's weird, he don't speak, he don't you know, show who he is. And I'm only able to show that around people I'm comfortable with, but now I'm getting to a point where I can do that, you know, around everybody. Even like as far as like dancing, all of that stuff, like I used to really be shy and just ball up and like just sit in the corner and not do anything.
No, I feel that. It was definitely things y'all both said that I feel like I could relate to too. And y'all made me think of other things as well. Definitely something else I know I struggled with was growing up. I used to feel like, oh, I have to be perfect, or I have to come off as perfect, just because how my dad was with me as well. Like, he would be like, oh, you're like a trophy. So it's like, I'm going to show you off to like my friends and stuff, but like behind closed doors, I'm going to tell you like, oh, how terrible you are and stuff like that. And so it used to make me feel like, oh, on the outside, I have to come off as perfect. But then like behind closed doors, everything is like a mess, you know?
Yeah.
And also even feeling like no one's gonna love me. I used to struggle with that a lot, of feeling unloved, and then afraid to speak up as well. That's something that I feel like I struggle with too, just because I don't know, I felt like that's something I was trained as a child, like, oh, you have to be nice, you have to be nice.
Yeah.
And it just, if I try to speak up, like growing up, like I said earlier, like if I cried or something, like my dad would laugh or be like, what are you saying this for? Or it's like being gaslighted into being told like, oh, how you feel is wrong or whatever. So I just would like not say nothing. But I'll say thankfully a lot of that stuff I've like worked on. So I feel like I'm in a much better place as far as how I view myself now. And so, but it's still like I'm continuing to grow, but definitely in a much better place than I was like a year and a half ago or even 2 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. I know the way it plays into the life of like how I present myself to people and stuff. Like I know in business, I look at it like, sometimes I look at it like, dang, can I work with this person? Like, do I got the skill to work with this person? And I'll start to like self-sabotage because I'll feel like, dang, I can't really, am I able to even commit to the level, like exceed to the level that they're expecting or that I'm expecting on myself? Or, you know, with charging prices and stuff, like when some people, like, remember I had sent you that one content creator who was charging like $2,500 just for a story post. I was like, yo, like this person, they know they worth, Whereas me, I still like struggle with that. Like, I know I'm worth more, but at the same time, I struggle with like having worth. And don't get it twisted. I know I ain't average.
Period.
Like, I know we all should know that. We all understand that, I believe now. But there are some times and moments where it's like, dang, am I enough? Am I adequate enough to get to this level? Do I deserve this? Or like even belittling my life and the things that I want, or saying like, dang, maybe you don't need that, or maybe like you don't deserve that, you know?
Yeah, literally, I went through this whole season of feeling like I was not smart enough to grow my clothing brand. Like, because so when you get these thoughts, right, it's like the more you entertain them and the more you grow them, the more you start to notice things in your life. And it's kind of like
validated.
Yeah, it's like you're noticing things in your mind, and it's like you're like, oh wait, I actually do this, and then it starts to become a spiral of you thinking these thoughts and noticing it. So it's like, whoa, I actually am like this. So I remember in this certain season, I was dealing with these thoughts of feeling like I'm dumb. I'm like, I can't do nothing right. If I get successful, I'm gonna mess it all up. Because in this season, a lot of stuff was not working out in my favor, and I thought it was like all my fault. And so I'm starting to think these things, and now my actions are starting to prove the way I thought. But the only reason my acting in the way I was acting was because I was having those thoughts. We know the Bible says, so a man thinketh, so he is, right? And so I'm like, dang, wait, hold on. I want to grow this clothing brand. Can I actually do that? I got this vision. Can I actually reach that? And then I remember just feeling so like depressed, because I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not smart enough. I won't be able to figure it out. Whoop-de-whoop. And so, like, I relate to you, because I'm like, God gave me this big dream and I can't do it. Yeah. So eventually I started realizing, okay, this is just the enemy talking to me, because I'm like, these thoughts are not my thoughts. And I started realizing, like, if I came this far, then I can get farther. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like something that I realized that made me feel like I really need to work on my brand image is, or my brand, how I view my brand, how I view my business is, I realized how much of how I view myself is the same way I would treat my clients.
For sure.
So, for example, I'm saying I have a luxury brand, right? And I'm saying, like, my target audience, they come to my brand because they love luxury brands, but they also feel like they deserve to treat themselves with the best. So that's what they look for. But I don't treat myself the best still. I treat myself better, but I do not treat myself the best. So it's almost like this subpar type of thing. Like, I give myself good enough. And I realized that I'm giving my customers good enough. And what made it click was, like, when Tabitha Brown, she bought like a pair of jeans, and she was like, she didn't like the box. But in my head, I'm like, I'm thinking this is good enough. Like, I'm thinking the pants are great. Like, the packaging is good enough. Like, but from her point of view, it's like, I deserve like the best, which is what I want my clientele to think. So I'm realizing I'm treating my clients the same way I treat myself. Yeah. It's like, I give myself good treatment to a certain extent. And after that, it's kind of just like whatever, you know? Real, yeah. And so that's what made me realize, especially if I'm going to have this luxury brand, this household name, I have to truly see my brand and myself as one. Like all the things that I list out as far as like, oh, this is my clientele, this is how I see them, are good things. Like feeling like you deserve the best, treating yourself with the best, like different things like that. Those are good traits to have. That's how I have to see myself though, because it reflects in how I treat my clients. For sure. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the same. Like, even for me, I recently realized with working with certain people that it's a reflection of how I work with people or how I show up in rooms. Like, when I go into a room, whether it's networking or whether it's just like a party or something, I'll sit in the corner if I don't know anybody, and I'll wait to like gravitate to somebody that I know. And then it's like, oh, let me go over there and speak with them and like, You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I do.
let me gravitate to that person, and if they're the outspoken person, then I can then start connecting with other people. But other than that, I would just like sit in the corner, or like, you know, just sit and like be antisocial almost. And then even like small experiences such as like going to Whataburger and realizing like, dang, they customer service is kind of trash.
Yeah.
Not like that, but like, you know, their service could be a lot better. And I just realized like, dang, this is probably how you come up to your clients, or, you know, just doing just enough to get to the point, like just enough to get the order done, and just enough to be finished with the project and stuff like that. Like even when working with like photographers and stuff, and, you know, seeing how they respond to me, or like how long it takes them to respond and stuff. And I'm like, okay, this probably the same. Well, this is the same feeling that you're giving to clients, or this is the same energy that you give the clients. So just realizing that the energy that I give off is what I kind of receive. I even say that when the whole thing happened with like one of the photographers I was working with, and I was like, well, maybe this is my karma. And it's like, bro, you shouldn't think like that. If you would put yourself in a higher standard, you would be able to attract better things. You would be able to have better feedback. And yeah, it's just a ton of stuff that you realize over time, that like, this isn't a reflection of who this person is. This is a reflection of me and how I treat myself, how I show up, and how I, you know, give to myself.
I agree. So I kind of have like a personal story to that, something I just experienced. So y'all know I just did my first pop-up shop at the Arca Christian Club in Atlanta. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
And it went really well. But my thing leading up to my first pop-up shop, my first big pop-up shop, people used to always say like, oh, you need to do a pop-up, And I'm like, I know I need to, but me projecting my own fears of, can I be smart enough, or am I smart enough to do this? I'm like, okay, if I do it, what if nobody buys? Or what if it's not successful? Or what if this goes wrong? Like I had kind of had some fears I was projecting on doing a pop-up shop, where it's like, I'd rather not do it because I don't know. I don't want to experience disappointment. So when I did it, it was really good and it was fun. And it's crazy because leading up, well, I'll say since then, I've been getting people texting me saying, oh, we got a placement here where you could put your shirts, or here's another opportunity. Yeah. And it's like, up until that point, nobody was sending me no type of opportunities. Yeah. But since I did it, now I'm showing people I'm showing up in this way, and I can and I will show out. And so now it's like, oh, well, she shows up. Here's an opportunity. Let me give it to you. Because now I'm walking in that. But leading up until then, I wasn't getting no type of opportunities, you know?
For sure.
So, yeah.
Even something I wanted to add to what you were saying about, like, you start to collect data on, like, oh, this is true. This is the truth. This is the truth in your mind. Like, you have this one thought and it starts to grow into something else, because you start looking for pieces of evidence to prove that to be true. So like, for example, I used to really deal with like, dang, nobody loves me or like something like that. And I used to really think like, yo, my mom genuinely don't love me. My brother genuinely don't love me. Like nobody in my family or nobody really loves me. And that was like during a time during a depression where it felt like everything was isolated. And I started to really like build on this thought of like, nobody genuinely loves me, you know? And it started to like become true. So little things, as far as like my mom, we used to get into arguments about this, because it would be like, bro, like I'm telling you that I don't like this, and she's like, I'm just joking with you, you're being sensitive. And I'm like, bro, I'm not being sensitive. It's just, I know how my mind is. I know how I talk to myself at this moment. So you saying that as my mom is not helping me. So she would say little things like how Jada be like, you ugly, like stuff like that. Or be like, she wouldn't say you ugly. She would be like, you're stupid. Like when I'm joking around. And I would be like, all right, don't say that, because I'm genuinely thinking like, you're stupid. Like I already tell myself that. So like you saying it is like proving it. And now I'm adding on to that evidence and making a bigger thing in my mind than what it already is. And she got like, we had gotten into a debate before, because it was like, she had got mad because she was like, I'm just joking with you. And I'm like, okay, I understand that, but the way I'm perceiving it in my mind is like way bigger than you think. And so now I've learned to not like take that. Like when Jada said you ugly all the time, so it's like you better roll with the punches. I know I'm not ugly,
Yeah.
but like
Everybody.
yeah, you call
ugly.
everybody that, but I'm just saying like just being able to have that discernment and being able to clear like the good, detect what's good and what's bad and what's true and what's not.
And what's crazy is when you get in these downward spirals, you start to see more and more and more and more evidence, and it's like it starts to get dark. But thankfully, I've learned to overcome that because you have to catch it at the root. Like as soon as you get a thought, you cannot come to agreement with it because as soon as you come to agreement, more thoughts are going to stem from that one thought. And the more your life is gonna be a reflection of the way you think. So
for sure.
Something my friend's mom, she does that I really like. When she's trying to talk about this, is like something that she's been struggling with or like how she views herself. She'll say, up until this point, okay, let's say she's talking about I've been struggling with being lazy. When she talks about it, she said she started saying, up until this point, I have just been so lazy. And then she continues to say the rest of the thing. But she's saying up until this point because she's not claiming it as I am this still, I am this moving forward, I'm this thing right now. She's just like, up until this point, I have been this, but that's not me no more moving forward. And so sometimes when I'm trying to like talk about this is something I'm working on, I'd be thinking like that's how I should say it instead of being like, dang, I still struggle with this, I still struggle with that, I'm this, I'm that. Be like, up until this point, I have been this, but I'm trying to work on blah, 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 blah.
For sure. Yeah, even for me, I learned that I'm kind of grateful that I actually took the time out to like go on like this weight loss journey because I remember telling y'all that I was thinking about like, oh, get a gastric sleeve and stuff like that. And I recently heard
You was not big enough for that.
I know. But that's the problem with like body dysmorphia because one day you looking at yourself and you like, oh, I look good. And the next day you looking like, oh, my back big. Jesus. You know? So, my back was big. But like, you know, I wasn't big enough for no gastric sleeve, bro. I would have been a toothpick if I would have got that done. And I heard Zell say this on his episode on Inherited Podcast. He was like, what's the shirt, Zell, that you have for your brand? Yeah, natural body still matters. So he had that, and he was saying that it was kind of a shot at people with like BBLs or people who get gastric sleeves and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm kind of glad that I took that journey because the same journey that I took when I was in boxing to drop weight, I did it again this time. So imagine if I would have took the easy way out to like get surgery or something like that. And it's like, you didn't even do the work and learning to be like in love with yourself and who you are. God did not make us to look all the same, have the same nose, have the same teeth and stuff. So like when I think of getting veneers, yes, that's something I would probably get, but I would never like touch my face by changing my nose or like getting a gastric sleeve or something like that. It was a thought, but I wouldn't think about touching those things because I was made to be myself. I was made to be created like how I am. So if God wanted me to be Crimson Chin, then I'm gonna be Crimson Chin and I'm gonna stand on business like Natalie Nunn. Come on.
Bro, no, you didn't.
Even if my name was Natalie Nunn.
You still couldn't check me.
Bro.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something that I realized helped me whenever I feel like I'm getting insecure about something.
Yeah.
Is sometimes I'll think like, okay, if I was laying on my deathbed, would I really care about this insecurity? Like I be thinking, I don't want to go through my whole like youth maximize on this one insecurity where later on I'm gonna be like, I wasted all them years worrying about how short I am. You know, it's like you can't change it. You just gotta deal with it. If you can't change it, just learn to just
for sure
live with it.
You can't change the height tray. So just learn to deal with it.
Bro, she's so petty.
And even me, like sometimes people will be like, oh, like sometimes it's weird because for me, sometimes people will mistake me to be like really young, so like 17, 16.
You were insecure about that?
Huh?
You were insecure
No,
about?
I'm about to say something about that.
my
Though.
bad.
Some people will like mistakenly think I'm like 16 or 17. And it's crazy because other people will be like, oh, I thought you were like 25, 23, 24. And it's like, okay, pick one. But for me, it's like I could easily get insecure on how young I look. But I won't allow myself because it's like at the end of the day, I can't change it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still fine, so it don't matter.
Right. Like that's how I feel about myself now. Like I know I look good. I know who I am.
It don't
I know what I bring to the table.
Exactly. And I know how old I am. So like I'm not gonna be insecure about something somebody else is thinking. You know? So
Yeah, and that's why I believe confidence, self-image, body image, all of that stuff is really a mindset thing. It's an energy that you have to obtain, because if you don't, people can view that. People viewed when I felt as though like I was inadequate and stuff, where like when I felt socially awkward and didn't want to show myself, like you can physically see people be turned off or not want to be around you just because of how you are. Or even a person who just points out every flaw, like, you know, a person who is never satisfied with how they look this way, how they look that way. Like people don't want to be around that. They want to be around somebody who's confident in who they are. Yes, you have imperfections, but at the same time, you also know like I am who I am, and nobody can change that.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'll add one more thing about the self-image. Something I heard recently was once you like make up in your mind like your self-image, like this is how I view myself, you are going to go and look for other outside resources that validate that. So you're going to look for relationships, friendships, standard of living that all validates this is how I view myself. And so when I had the worst like self-image, that's exactly what I did. Like I lived in a way that was like below like terrible standards. The type of like situationships I would entertain, I felt like I had to go chase a guy. Like I felt like because I was not worthy enough to have somebody who just wanted me, I felt like, oh, I have to go chase after a guy, or just different things like that. And so if you have a low self-image, you really have to become aware of that and work on it, because everything you have in your life right now is equal to how you view yourself. And so that's why you may see like people who are more successful typically have some more confidence.
Yeah.
They typically have a higher self-image. Or some people may be like, oh, you seem arrogant, or you think you're the stuff or whatever. But it's like, no, you actually have to have a much higher view of yourself. And I have a bad habit of like being, I think the word is like bashful, when it's like someone tries to compliment you and it's like, oh no, like,
Yo, for
I'm
real.
not that, or oh, your business is so great, and it's like, oh, I'm trying, like, you know,
it's like just accept the compliment.
Exactly. And it's just like how you view yourself, that is what you will have forever and ever and ever. So you need to view yourself as higher in order for you to have more.
Yeah, for sure. Even I noticed what you said about like guys, like on my end, as far as like girls and stuff, like I realized that when I was coming off like very timid and shy and stuff, like the kind of people that I would attract was little to none. Or like, you know, working out, like if you a guy and you feel as though like, oh, like no girl is like attracted to me, or like nobody's coming to me, it's like work on yourself. Make sure you smell good. Make sure like you keep up with your appearance. Because I used to just come out the house looking like anything at first.
Literally.
The whole time when I was going through depression, I was just coming out the house looking like anything. And now,
stains on the clothes,
I'm saying stains, hair undone, no haircut, nothing, just sloppy, eyebrows
done,
catching a unibrow, like all of that. I would just come out looking crazy.
Literally.
And now, like, I realize like some of the girls that I'm attracted to, like they start to give you compliments and stuff. And it's like, oh, like, this is what I like. I don't like being the timid, shy guy that, you know, nobody is attracted to or nobody really cares for, or like, you know, if you're not confident, nobody really cares to be interested in you. So I know that all plays a part. Like, you have to show up for yourself before you expect people to show up for you. Ooh, can I say one more last thing?
I got one more thing to say too.
Okay, like I used to really seek for people to give me compliments and like, cause I like words of affirmations.
Me too.
I used to really seek for somebody to like give me a compliment. And if nobody doesn't compliment, now I don't feel good about myself. I feel less than of myself. But now I've got to this place where I'm still working on this, but I got to this place where I don't care whether I'm gonna get a compliment or not. I know like how I feel about myself. I know like how good I look for me. And so now it's kind of hard because when people give me compliments, instead of how I used to do, belittling the compliment, now I sometimes forget to say thank you. Like, somebody will give me a compliment and I'll just move on because I've blocked out that moment in my life where I was seeking for compliments. Give yourself the compliment before you look for somebody else to do it. You got to give yourself that love, that peace, that grace before you expect somebody else to do it, because they're only going to do how you treat yourself.
I used to do that too.
Yeah.
I'll say one last thing. A lot of times we don't even realize how it's stuff people said a long time ago that's still sitting in your mind. Like, when I was going through my season of feeling like I wasn't, of feeling insignificant and of feeling like I wasn't smart enough and stuff like that. When I was going through that season, bro, my mind was going all the way back to middle school, thinking thoughts people used to say to me. Back then, I'm like, they was right. And it's like thoughts just start to replay in my head, things people said. And it's like a lot of times you don't even realize the thing you're dealing with right now is because of something somebody said all the way back in elementary school, bro. So it's like really detaching from people's opinions, detaching from the way what people say to you. Because a lot of times the way people talk is literally them just projecting. Like, if I'm the type of person, I noticed this. People who tend to pick out stuff about people all the time tend to be the type of people that always pick about themselves. Like, if somebody's always saying like, "Ooh, their shoes," or "Ooh, look at the way they dress," "Ooh, why are they wearing their hair like that? That hairstyle is so ugly," or "Ooh, she wearing that and she is that big," or like stuff like that. It's like they're saying that to themselves, you know?
Sure.
So a lot of times when people are talking, they're projecting their own thoughts on people. So
For sure. That's why the loudest person in the room can't nuck if you buck.
Exactly.
Because when it's time to actually like throw hands or something, they be the quietest person. So like, it's really just it's all a mindset thing, man. If you're not confident, you're gonna find that confidence at one point in time. And once you do, just stick to it. And
you gotta do the inner work.
Yeah,
and don't try to like, feel like, I gotta, even though, you know, changing your appearance and stuff is good, but if you're just doing the outer work and you're not doing the inner work, you're not really getting anywhere.
Yeah, because people can look the best and like still be
very insecure.
Shoot, I don't even know how to count my math without using a calculator, if we being real. hey, listen, it's gonna take me time to get them numbers right, but it will get right with that calculator.
Who does math on their fingers anymore?
It's like 41, 42. What you said, 6 plus 6?
I got my phone on me all the time. I do not need to learn how to do math.
Not ugly.
Yo, that's real though. I wasn't the smartest in math. I was in them tests. I was the last person hitting my test.
Bro, remember them timetables?
Oh my God. I used to study just for the test to remember the numbers, and then once I was done, I forgot it.
Just forgot about it.
That's what this phone is for now.
Exactly.
You know your multiplications and timetables and stuff?
I was already in math, but it's a part of what I do.
8 times 4 right now.
32.
60 times 3.
180.
Trey's like, she got it.
Not too tricky.
Oh, no, I know a little bit of math off the top of my head, but I got to check the numbers to make sure. So I use my calculator.
What's 70 times 4?
All right, that is the end of this episode. Let's get into Make It Make Sense, where we help young adults make it make sense.
Give young adults
advice.
Growing through
life.
So yeah, what's the question?
Which one did y'all want to do? We got a couple of them.
Let's pick the. How do I know it's too soon to get in? Okay, y'all want to do number 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
So number 2 is I'm working multiple jobs while trying to pursue my dreams until I can do that full time. I've been doing this for a few years now, but it's tiring. What do y'all suggest I could do to speed up the process so I don't have to work all of these jobs for much longer?
That's a really good question.
Yeah. I would say I think that you being able to work multiple jobs for one shows that you have work ethic and you're willing to put in work to get towards your dream. But I guess my question would be like, is you working all these jobs really helping you? Because something that somebody told me before, it takes the same energy to do DoorDash that it does to put work into your business. And not saying that you shouldn't be working other jobs at all, but if you're saying my goal is to work these jobs and eventually I want my purpose or my dream job, my dream career or business to take off, I feel like if most of your time is being consumed by multiple jobs, then how are you really putting time into your purpose? Like, what does that look like? Like, you're spending way, way, way more time on the jobs than you are your purpose, your dream. And so I think that my advice would be like, try and balance it more. I think that everything you are getting from those multiple jobs needs to be going straight into your dream. I think that you need to be mindful of how you're spending your time. Like, in this season, you don't need to be going out all the time. You don't really need to be, you really don't need to be going out or anything like that. You really need to be in the house, locked in, and just working. Like, and not saying don't ever do nothing at all. Like, see your friends here and there. But if that's the goal, you've been working these multiple jobs for years and you're still feeling like, dang, I'm not at my dream yet. I'm not able to do my dream full time yet. Mm-hmm. I would say, like, you really need to just lock in more and try and make things shake and even see, is there a way that you can make more money but using less time? How could you make more money but not working like all of those jobs? Like, that's something else I would look into too.
For sure. I'll say that working multiple jobs is for multiple people. And like you are not Julius from Everybody Hate Chris. Okay, you do not need to work multiple jobs. Right. Like, you do not need to work multiple jobs in order to get, you're spreading yourself so thin that you don't even have time to focus or see what areas can you grow in. And so, as I said, working multiple jobs is for multiple people. If you cut that down and keep one job and work on your business as well, that'll be easier to manage rather than trying to work multiple jobs and you're getting nowhere but tiring yourself out. So really, it's like you have to figure out, like, all right, how much, and this is what I'm figuring out because I know time, I'm realizing how important time is and how you can't get it back once it's gone. So what are the things that I can do each and every single day in order to get to the next step, in order to get to the next goal? And with that being said, I've just realized, like, focus on, when you're thinking about like your finances, focus on what it is that needs to be paid. So if you have a car note, if you have a phone bill, if you have rent that needs to be paid, focus on how much that'll cost you. And then you'll be able to see, like, what jobs do you need to exclude that's not paying you the most, the jobs that's not really getting you anywhere, but you're just tying yourself out, and possibly keep one of the jobs that you enjoy. That way you're able to, like, still be happy and content in that moment, in that phase, in that season. And you're not just doing things that is just paying the bills. You're still enjoying yourself. You're still being able to focus on your dreams. But at the same time, you're able to get the bills paid. So you get the bills paid with what's paying the most, and you work on your dream job, your dream business, and get your affairs in order. Just do what's necessary in order to get your affairs in order and start working on one thing, 1 to 2 things. Don't spread yourself thin.
I like that. No, I think you guys hit it on the nail. basically, I would say get a plan, make a plan on how, if you don't already, how you want to transition from your job to being full-time in your brand. And whatever you do, I really wish I knew what you did so I could like give you specific tips. But I'll say for me, when I realized, when I graduated, I knew I didn't want to like have a job. So I was like doing DoorDash, but even transitioning from doing DoorDash to doing my clothing brand full time was painful because it's like I ended up stopping doing DoorDash and then it's like having to do it again or like going back and forth. And even when I did stop doing DoorDash, I didn't even go into my clothing brand. I used another skill I had, which was editing, and I would edit for entrepreneurs. So I would say come up with a plan and also follow the tips that these amazing entrepreneurs gave.
Oh, one more thing. I think a mentor too would be helpful. I think if you're trying to figure out what's the fastest way I could go from multiple jobs to, you know, going full time on my business or whatever the case may be, I think like find somebody who like did the same thing, like how Zell went from working at the warehouse to, you know, working with David and doing like videography as his career, you know.
Sure.
I feel like find someone who's already done that and see like what am I doing wrong or what am I doing what am I doing that's not super efficient and what do I need to change so I can like hurry up and get from point A to point B.
For sure. And yeah, that was make sense. We hope that made sense to you.
Hope that makes sense.
Let them know where they can follow us.
Yes. Follow us on YouTube, Growing Painz Podcast. Tune in on our audio experience because we have special segments going on there. And y'all won't know if y'all are not tuned in.
For sure.
So Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Growing Painz Podcast. Follow us on TikTok. Is it Growing Painz Podcast?
It's Growing Painz Pod.
Okay. Growing Painz Pod on TikTok and Growing Painz Podcast on Instagram.
I don't know. But if you,
one of those.
it should pop up by the time you type in pod.
Yeah. Just put Growing Painz POD and something will come up.
No,
but
real.
Y'all can follow me, Yanni Bratcher, and my clothing brand, Wise Label. Also, I want to shout out this clothing brand. It says No Fear on it. They sent it to me. Let me show y'all. I don't get into the details. Yeah. It's a Christian brand.
Yeah.
And then on the sleeve, it has, you know, really good details and like some embroidery. And y'all go support them. Hold on, let me pull up their Instagram. Sorry, y'all. This is
so y'all can follow me at Royal Travion, and you'll see a lot of dope creative edits. You'll see some vlogs, all of that stuff. And then you can follow my creative agency, graphic design business, Royalty Made It. Yeah, let's get it.
And y'all can follow me on Instagram at Jael Official for my clothing brand. And my personal Instagram is at I am Jada Ellis.
Yeah.
And the Instagram is lwf.us, Live Without Fear. So y'all go support them boys.
For sure. And CJ, he actually be watching these episodes consistently. So he gave me this hoodie. We appreciate you, my boy.
What did it say?
It's exclusive.
Ooh, that's
so his Instagram is the number 3, which would be a letter E. So like the number 3 exclusive, and then it's a 3. So it's 3XCLUSIV 3Z. So exclusive with a Z.
Y'all go shop with them boys.
Go shop with CJ, my boy. He doing some great things. So we appreciate y'all for the hoodies.
Yeah.
Jada, she be getting some stuff too.
I'm not wearing it today.
Yeah, she not wearing it today. So yeah, y'all, we out. We appreciate y'all. Much love.
Bye, y'all.